We'll say we just talk about farts the whole time.
Yeah, I was wondering. So yeah, I had
nothing really to talk about.
Yeah,
in the world at large.
Going into like all day, I've been like, so do we talk about it up front? Do we talk about it at the end? Do we talk about it the whole time? Do we not talk about it at all? Either like, here's the deal: no matter what we do, no matter how we handle it, we're going to disappoint some people. You know, so it's kind of like whatever. It's kind of it's really a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So I don't know, bro. But here we are.
Here we are. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't even know which thing you're talking about necessarily.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's two pretty big things that we could, talk about if we wanted to.
Well, they're related, right?
Through one man.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, the two things you mean is
Were you talking about the Death of Slim Shady album coming out? Wondering if we're going to talk about that? Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought you meant. So we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay. Totally. Well, shit, yeah.
Got a new album out. There's all kinds of things, which is why it'd be funny if we just talked about getting drunk again, either getting drunk or like influencers and how much they suck. Because it seems like those are the two things we circle back to the most.
It is important for everybody to know. And Slim said it, but I don't know how wide his reach is. Maybe people didn't hear it from him, and they require us to fill them in on their Slim Shady news, but. Just for anyone wanting to entertain listening to the album, it is a concept album, and it is best if you listen front to back, which personally, I mean, that's how I'll be listening to every album. But I assume some people are like, oh, this one looks like a banger, I'll check it out. But it does have a through line, and I find it to be more enjoyable if you listen to it that way. So, yeah, well, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Yep. All right. So, I don't know. Do y'all want to talk about our old friend, our old good buddy, James David?
Oh, that too.
That's the second thing. The two huge things, Corey, is that the former president was almost assassinated on Saturday. And then he picked our old buddy, hillbilly buddy, JD Vance.
You weren't doing a bit, Corey. You really thought Trae meant the Slim Shady album?
No. I knew that was a bit. I knew that was a bit.
What did you think the two things were?
Yeah. I thought that was part of the bit. Like in my mind, it was like there's not two things. There's one fucking thing.
And by one thing, you meant the assassination attempt.
Of course, yeah. Okay. And then when you said two things, I was like, okay, he's doing a bit.
Of course, the reason I feel like it's not as obvious is the fact that we have met and hung out with the perhaps future vice president. Like if we had never met the guy, I'd be like, of course, the one thing is above the other thing. But I feel like because he's a self-professed hillbilly who we've all hung out with before.
Bought us beers.
That elevates it to the level of something you think we would talk about.
You're right.
So that's what,
I think the assassination was just so, it's the only thing that's been on my mind that a pun unintended, trumped everything. But you're right. That is something. My mom is so happy, by the way. Why? She's like, immediately texts me. She's like, you've had drinks with the future vice president. I was like, I've had drinks with the former vice president too, and he hit harder. He actually won.
Yeah, that occurred to me too yesterday. I was like, man, it's wild to think that motherfucker, this dude that we used to text or whatever about how wild stuff was. It's like might be the vice president, and then I was like, dude, Al Gore's your boy. You've been knowing vice presidents. What are you talking about? Also, obviously, I hope he's not ever the fucking vice president. I'm just saying
he will be though.
It seems like it could happen. I see people saying that like really this is a good thing and that like
it's not though.
He don't hit as a pick. Like he does. Normally normally VP picks are supposed to bring something else to the table, shore up the coalition. Joe Biden is an old white, so he's got a black woman, whatever, that type of thing. Obama was the exact opposite. McCain was a sane papal, so he picked a lunatic bitch, right? Like they usually mix it up like that. And JD is just like a Trump wannabe,
but he's young,
way less charisma. Yeah, but he's.
I think a VP pick can only hurt you. I don't think he can help you, and I don't think he hurts him.
He doesn't hurt him. I think the age. I honestly think now obviously like Kamala's young too, but like I'm just saying I think there's a lot of people who like if Trump had picked like an older papawy type person, it would have fed into the whole like, goddamn, it's just going to be another old. I think that JD is a good pick. By the way, I'm saying all this like, don't want him to fucking win, but I'm saying like, in terms of the Republicans looking forward and grooming the next set, like it's a good pick. And like you said, like he is sort of and it really sucks because like he did not start out this way. And here's how I know. We wouldn't have gotten fucking drinks with him multiple times if he had started out this way.
We talked about,
we thought he was a hero.
At that point in time, he was still talking nothing but shit about, like when we met him, he still was like openly talking about how much Donald Trump don't hit. And we talked about that with him, like about how like,
that's why we hit for him.
Yeah. The whole thing was like, I understand why fucking rednecks are, listening to some of this shit, but good Lord, I really hope they wake up. Hopefully he don't win whatever that whole thing. That's what he was saying at the time, just so people know he wasn't. I mean, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that he had a big flip-flop thing. We met him way back when he was still a never Trumper and wasn't acting the way that he be. You got to give Drew some credit though. Drew very appropriately. He jumped on the fuck JD Vance train way before anybody, at least the other two of us did, or anybody.
For sure.
Drew was.
I finished the book.
Yeah.
Right. Because you did enjoy the book at first. I know that because you're the reason I started reading it.
I had the book. Well, maybe so first of all, let's say he did our serious political show and he said all the things we're saying that he said. He was like, never Trump. And you could make an argument if you were what I would call cynically optimist. Like if you were just a dumb optimist of like, well, JD thought that the way to like push America forward then was to reach across the aisle, and now he thinks it's a different thing, which is I'm sure how he'll spin it. We don't need to get that interview dug up because one of the most popular videos on Reddit right now is showing him back to back with like a split screen speeches from that time or interviews from that time when he's like, I think Donald Trump is one of the most cynical people I've ever heard of in my life, and he's going to lead America astray, and he's lying to people. And then cut to, he's the greatest president of my lifetime.
Right.
So people are aware, and people who care, and I don't know who that is, that he's a complete flip-flop, full of shit person. What happened with, I think, all of us is I think we got fooled by someone who is good on paper, like in person. And I think that's what happened with JD. He's not very charming, and the crack started to show. But towards the end of that book, and we talked about this then, we were all like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Towards the end, he just throws in this weird defense of payday loan scams.
Places. Yeah.
And at that time,
that doesn't fit the narrative of the book at all. It's just like a footnote, but weirdly.
In retrospect, it does.
Yeah, dude, the whole book, even while reading it, it was one of those things where it's like, I had like met him, plus everybody was talking about that book, talking to us about every meeting we had. If you read it, all these Hollywood people
were sent that book
falling over themselves for it. So I read it and was like, and also again, I relate to a lot of it, obviously. So I like connected to a bunch of it, but there's tons of stuff in there that made me kind of go like, well, hold on, what? Because it's like, and I was saying at the time, I was telling people, I was like, look, me and JD had two very similar experiences and took two very different lessons or whatever you want to say away from it. And that because
he was on school lunch while deriding school lunches.
Right.
He was on scholarships while acting like you don't need a hand up. He was getting pulled up by the government while screaming. Now he's screaming, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. Yeah. Well, he was trying. It's like you're saying, like they don't like government. It's like the problem is not systemic or governmental. These people are not held down. They're holding themselves down because they're lazy and sorry and don't hit at nothing. Is basically what that whole book was arguing. Really, I mean, it was a whole lot of just like sad, like sob story, memoir type stuff. But in as much as there's a message in it at all, that's kind of what it is.
Well, he took an argument from a book called The Bell Curve, which made that same argument about black people, which was essentially, I'm not racist. They're not bad people. Their culture is rotten. Yeah. And it's not our fault. It's theirs. And then, by the way, that guy was like completely canceled and laughed out of academia. His name's Charles something. I can't remember his last name. Guess who the first person who had him on any sort of TV show? JD had like a serious show. He brought that guy on, the guy who wrote The Bell Curve. He just took The Bell Curve and applied it to Scotch-Irish Appalachians. When I first started reading the book, it starts with his story. And as Trae said, it's similar to his own. And I found it compelling. And at the time, I, like so many people, I think, were like craving for like common ground, and like we could see how split the country was going. And I think I may have said this to him. I remember thinking like, here is an example of someone that my nephews who are kind of naturally more inclined to conservatism can latch on to. Maybe here's a guy who's like, Trump's full of shit and I'm a conservative, but it doesn't mean hating immigrants necessarily, blah, blah, blah. But then you get further along in the book and you really pay attention to the theme.
Trojan horse.
Oh, you're saying it's all our fault.
Right.
And that tech in the cash places are great. And then you find out Peter Thiel is one of his main business partners and bankrolled the book. Peter Thiel is, I would say him and Larry Fink are probably the two most prominent figures in American politics with money arguing for the privatization of everything.
Huge top candidate for worst gay, I think.
Yes. The Koch brother, one of the Koch brothers is dead.
That Milo guy, he's pretty bad.
Yeah, he is, but he ain't, but he's like gone.
He's kind of gone now.
Yeah. Worst gays. I thought you were talking about people arguing for privatization. The Koch brothers, to a certain extent, and then Larry Fink, who owns BlackRock, and then Thiel are like actively spending lots of money trying to privatize everything in America, which is genuinely a horrendous outcome if we ever get there. And it seems to me in retrospect that JD went from like pawn in that almost to like now potentially leader of it. I mean, this is real Machiavellian, macabre shit.
Yeah, for sure. And like, with JD and like Trae having a similar experience and a similar background, and like, I'm sure somebody like JD loves to point it as like, and look at us now, you know what I mean? Not realizing the very obvious of like, y'all are the exceptions that prove the rule, not the fucking rule.
I think he like embraces that part, meaning like, I feel like it's supposed to be part of the implication for his argument is like, see, I hit, the rest of them don't.
Right.
If they would just do what I do.
But if they,
pills.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, see, they could be doing what I did, but they won't. But and that's because of cultural problems or whatever, where,
I understand.
Where I'm like, I got lucky.
Okay, right. But like, I understand how some people from the coast who have no idea what goes on in the middle of the country or the South could read that. They don't know shit. So they're like, well, here's this guy saying it. So like, I kind of believe him. But like, being from this area, dude, of course there's a shit ton of my buddies who have wasted potential on pills. Like, duh, of course that happened. But I've also got plenty of buddies who never got hooked on pills, who worked their fucking ass off. They really do. They work their ass off. They care about their family. And then one medical bill after this, the next thing you know, they're completely fucking destitute, no matter how hard they fucking work, no matter how many bootstraps they pull up. And it's like, you want to discount those people? Like, the only two people in the South who exist are people like you who stayed away from pills and succeeded, and pillheads. That's fucking it. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It also overlooks how available the pills were, how doctors were lied to and or actively lying to people about the pills. It overlooks people who didn't snort pills to get high in the first place, but did them because they hurt their fucking back.
Right.
So it's all those things. But I want to say that I feel genuinely that what happened is that JD thought his trajectory into the American zeitgeist was going to be Hollywood. I mean, he wrote a fucking movie that ruined Amy Adams' career, for God's sake. That didn't work. And he pivoted to the next best thing in his mind. And Trump is the example of that. I mean, in a lot of ways, his career somewhat mirrors Trump, where he got to touch Hollywood.
You think
getting where he wanted, so then he moved into politics.
You think Hollywood hating that movie pissed him off so much that he was like, let's do
I don't think it's anger. I'm saying I think that explains his interest in us. I don't think he ever actually give a fuck about us. He thought Trae Crowder's on the come up. Or this was around the time the TV show was about to pop off. I think he wanted to break into Hollywood, so he was sending out. He was trying to go on Bill Maher. He was trying to get with Trae Crowder. He was doing things to get into Hollywood. That did work out, but not the way he wanted to. And he realized through Trump, wait a minute, there's actually more power to be had.
So I feel like if you look at his past upbringing, like his backstory, Ivy League, military, law school, big money, book, talking head shit. I feel like that motherfucker has been politically minded from day one.
Maybe like the Hollywood thing was just for that.
And the Hollywood thing is like a nice little detour.
Ben Carson got his movie before politics.
But it's like, also, not to make it weird, but like, it's just raving that all these super liberal coastal people were like jacking that book off so much. And when later that same year, we wrote a book that's like very, very similar in a lot of ways in terms
of true,
and also like comes from a place of love and does not shit on everybody there.
Right.
And nobody except Whoopi Goldberg gave a fuck about that.
Michael Eisner hollered.
I think it's because his had come out before. They were like, no, we already got a hillbilly thing. That happened already. Or it's just our book just didn't hit or what.
Well,
he shit on people they hate.
Right. That's it. And we defended them.
Irony. Confirmed them.
That's the great irony of his current attachment to Trump. And then this like guy who's runs on working man issues, he says, is that like he absolutely shit on poor people.
Right.
To the liberal coastal elites in order to now be the worst enemy of the liberal coastal elites.
Right.
Yes. Right.
And they deserve it, frankly.
But half of them also invest in checking the cash places, bro.
Yeah, and BlackRock and shit like that. Yeah, maybe it's because ours wasn't a singular narrative. We fucked up there.
BlackRock owned by doing. What do you think?
Yeah,
that's who owns BlackRock.
That'd have been much harder, Joe, to weave a one single linear narrative.
Oh, I agree.
Three of us writing it.
I agree. No, I agree.
By the way,
in the move.
I want to say I believe in my heart that you, Trae, were probably vetted by whatever the left. You constantly are getting emails from people talking about you should run, or you should meet this person. If you had displayed to those people the sort of Machiavellian, just audaciousness this guy clearly has, the fucking lizard evil. I almost feel like in my heart, people had a meeting about you and they were like,
they saw
that guy's got a good heart.
Yeah.
So fuck him.
No, I know what it is. I know what it is. Somebody was like, this Trae Crowder, we need him to run. And someone dug up that DMX video that Trae thinks is gone. And they were like,
Corey's got it.
Not
Corey kept sending it to him. We wanted to tell you this, Trae. They kept asking us about you. And we were like, we don't own a house yet. It's not paid off.
And I did it for you. I did it for you. I was like, because if I show this them now, it won't get out.
I do think you saying Jews, and it looked bad.
Yeah.
I think that people like that. I think another thing is just our book also was like, it was very serious in parts and we took it seriously, but it's also, dude, people like those jerk off intelligentsia type people and people in politics and stuff, they hate funny shit. They hate comedy. They look down on it. They think it's beneath them. And I feel
our book's way better.
I feel like any of those dudes are like, if they ever do look at me, they're like, they don't respect comedians or people who are funny. It's like, you got to take yourself seriously. This is serious business. But also, I'd say wild shit that I'm sure they're like, well, we can't, especially like the left, politics on the left. They're like, that guy says way too much wild shit for our.
Well, you mean
thing.
That gun chapter fucked our butts.
The left. The actual left loves it when you say wild shit.
Yeah,
especially the gun chapter.
Yeah, right.
Let me say two things that I think we've left out. One is it should be noted that his mentor is the woman who wrote Tiger Mom. She's a professor at Yale Law, I think. And
what's Tiger Mom?
You remember Tiger Mom? It was a big thing at the time.
It was a phenomenon where this woman makes the argument that daughters and sons of, I want to say, Korean immigrants are by and large more successful because of the way their mother approaches their childhood and education, which is essentially abuse.
Right. You know the stereotype of like, you ever see that Family Guy clip where that Asian dad walks in the room, he goes, "You doctor yet?"
You doctor yet?
And the kid's like, "No, I'm 12." He goes, "Talk to me when you doctor." And he closes the door and it's like, you know, it's like we're Asians, not Bajans, right? Like you can't make B's, you got to make straight. All those jokes.
The best stereotype to have about a people,
right? But that's like the Tiger Mom thing was like intellectual exploration of that.
So going back to your point, Trae, I could see that he was guided by people with a lot more experience, who I would admit are smarter than all of us, who shaped. Like our book was they asked us, I don't know, they asked us to do it, so we told the truth. Whereas this was a plan from the get-go,
right,
to do a certain thing.
I totally believe that.
Right, I do too.
But nobody really knows how he got up with Peter Thiel in the first place, though, right? Like they just kind of. I think Peter Thiel. Do what?
I assume either her or he was probably a member of the Federalist Society at Yale, which is a right-wing law group that is currently responsible for what's going on with the Supreme Court. And I should have murdered all the ones at my school.
Ivy League, connections probably. But it's like I think he met Peter Thiel and got identified as like being useful in this the combination of things that he was. I feel like Peter Thiel and his type people were like, we can use that for sure. And I think they've been pushing him and using that this whole time. And now Peter Thiel's like this close to the White House, so like it's obviously working like a fucking charm. I mean, that's what I think.
The second thing I wanted to add to it, and it's related to that, and us being smart but not smart enough. I wish we would have recognized him for the opposition, not just like to what we believe in our hearts. I mean, almost like wrestling, if that helps, Corey. He was like, hey, can I come on your show and we talk about middle ground? And our hearts were like, that's what America needs. Right. Absolutely, guy who, in my head, was like my father-in-law instead of the people who are lying to my father-in-law.
Yeah, so this was also 2016, way different time.
Right. I wish we would have been like, nah, what we need to do is have this guy on here and say to his face and then put this clip out over and over again. You're out here selling your book. They should be reading our fucking book. Your book ain't shit. Our book's shit. And then we would have Trae in the White House right now.
Yeah. I don't know, though. Trae can't lie.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Like George Washington, and he hid in the White House.
That's true.
What if he lied about not being able to lie, though?
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
All that George Washington shit was bullshit.
He wouldn't have made it.
He's the reference. Everyone goes, he said, I cannot tell a lie. Well, that's what liars say.
If George Washington truly had the amount of integrity he had, which he did not, but if he did, he'd never make it today in politics. Like he'd never fucking make it.
No.
I think I'm either getting sick or my voice is getting mad at me, and that don't hit.
We've talked about how his teeth was slaves, right?
Yeah, his teeth was slaves.
Yeah, that's a Shane Gillis bit, and it is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is phenomenal.
Yeah, it does hit. But I don't know. I mean, you want to talk the assassination thing? Corey, did you start thinking wrestling stuff?
Oh, yeah, man. And there were so many memes that I'd already thought about. Like, there was one, I sent y'all a couple of them where it was like, man, say what you will about the WWE, but they really taught Trump to find the hard cam, which the hard cam is the one, like, right there on your face.
That whole part of it, the way the blood, how much blood there was, where the blood was, the shape of it, and that part, the hard cam and the fist, it all was, it did look very pro wrestling-y. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's some conspiracy. I think some, crazy kid tried to shoot Donald Trump. That's what I think happened. But it did look mutually exclusive. Weird.
I want to read this one too, and I'm going to try my best to do it in Stone Cold's voice. This is a meme that happens all the time because Stone Cold, he has his own talk show, and he uses a lot of wrestling lingo that even some wrestling fans don't know. You have to just kind of be in on it. So this is an impression somebody has tweeted. Jace. Officially Jace on Twitter. It's Stone Cold going like this, clearly interviewing someone. He says, so there you are, WWE Hall of Famer on the campaign trail, running for president of the USA. I hear shots. I hear the pops. World sees you take a dive. Next thing you know, you got color. World wants to know, goddamn kid, you working or shooting? Which is fucking hilarious because, dude, so here's like, fuck there's a million conspiracy theories. There were within 5 minutes, Reddit had 9,000 of them. And I'm not saying I don't believe none of them. I'm just saying this isn't me trying to prop anything up. But the way that Trump reacted, it very much looked like a man reacting to, damn, we pulled it off. You know what I mean? Like, he immediately turns around and he's like, hell yeah. It doesn't look like a man with a shred of fear. And I know they're all going to say, like, well, that's because he's a fucking badass. No, he's not. He's a chicken shit piece of ass. But it was too fucking perfect, man. He's a chicken shit.
You called Trump a piece of ass.
I wanted to say chicken. I said chicken shit. Yeah, I said chicken shit. And I was like, fuck, I can't say
I would have enjoyed chicken ass piece of shit.
That would have worked.
He's a chicken ass piece of shit.
Yeah.
There we go. Flip it and reverse it. But it all did just seem so fucking perfect. It's like he barely gets clipped. He gets the perfect amount of color. There's this fucking beautiful Iwo Jima American flag, like right in the back. He's fucking doing this shit. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know, dude, because here's the thing too, man. Like, from where that goddamn shooter was, if you read any of these fucking special ops people talking about it, they're like, that is absolutely well within the zone that any competent Secret Service team would have already scoped out. Like that range, right. Like there's no fucking reason for this guy to have ever been there, because that would have been like, hey, definitely check any building within this range, you know? So
But in that scenario, the Secret Service is in on it, and they're in on faking it.
Yes, right, true. Yeah,
that's hard to fathom because they're going to take the fall for it at the very least as incompetent.
Right, and they had a woman running.
I think that. Well, I mean, everything you said is true, Joe. But it's like, dude, I mean, how many different times do the various versions of law enforcement in this country have to prove to us that they're populated mostly by dumbasses?
Oh, no, I know.
Shit up all the time.
I know, no, dude, I know. But one of two things is true. Yeah, either his Secret Service completely fucked up, which is plausible, or they didn't fuck up at all, and they just needed it to seem like a fuck up. But no, I mean, dude, you're right.
Or they kind of fucked up a little, and this is like one of the prevailing theories, that because they saw the guy.
Yeah.
And then there's all these excuses as to why he got a shot off. And one of the main ones is like,
pretty impressive, by the way.
I don't think one of the main theories is people going, I don't think the Secret Service planned it, but I think they turned their head for a few seconds.
Right. Who are you aimed at, sir?
I think that dude had just made them skip breakfast and they didn't want to. And they were like, which roof are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
Let me say one thing to counter what you said because I got texts from a lot of my friends, and it was so funny because my response, and this is what I did on stage, was like, oh, now you guys believe in conspiracy theories, liberals? Like,
right, yeah.
Like, I've been trying to get you guys to talk to me about the moon or Epstein Island for years, and you got nothing for me.
Well, I made the same joke, but about myself, though. Like I said, I was like, I've never been a conspiracy person, but if they start saying that, this was on stage Saturday night before we knew anything. I was like, if they start saying this shooter's a fucking trans Mexican migrant, whatever, I'm going to be fucking connecting tacks with string tomorrow.
Well, dude,
that's self-awareness.
You know, my fucking basement dwelling Reddit ass has been salivating at the glands because I'm all fucking in on that shit. Now, like,
that's what I'm saying. It's like I have people who just aren't like that, being like, this was clearly staged. And my only response to that, the blood and the flag is too weird. Yeah. But my only response to that is, one, it doesn't seem like there's the picture of the bullet, a guy got killed. Like it would be hard to fake that. And then Nick is like, that's crazy.
No, I agree.
The talent level wasn't there in that 20-year-old.
Right.
But two, you got to understand, it's not bravery, but Trump is genuinely mentally ill when it comes to his narcissism and belief in himself.
Right.
Just like, let me give you an example. He thinks he's good at business.
Right.
He thinks he's famous because he's talented when it comes to like The Apprentice. So like, of course he stood up and pumped his fist.
Well,
that's
for him.
My take on it, because he thinks he beat that guy.
Right.
But his probably first reaction was, me and God just whooped an assassin's ass. And so like,
and God killed my supporter.
And that does feel like bravery to people who aren't insane. So like, we're screwed. I mean everybody.
Also, dude, at what point do we kind of have to just acknowledge that clearly he's right about him and God and whatever the fuck is going on here? Like,
God's a dick.
Everything comes up Trump, dog, always. Like, we all know that he is a fucking lunatic, a narcissist, a dumbass, all these he is all these things, and like he has just
all he does is win.
That's all he does. He just fucking traipses through life, just sleepwalks through everything, just fucking having money despite losing money all the time, fucking being famous for kind of nothing, then fucking and then like becoming president.
He clearly has a talent. Like it's just not what he thinks it is. It kind of reminds me of the Rooster the Goat a little bit. Like Trump has a talent. It's not the talents he claims to have.
Right.
Does that make sense? He's compelling.
Dude.
The guy has charisma. He thinks he has charm.
Right.
He definitely has
he thinks
charisma,
he right, and he thinks he's a genius, right? He thinks he's a genius that has charm when realistically he is just a charismatic train wreck that you cannot look away from.
He's like that, you know, we were like it's a known, established, and beloved comedic archetype when it's played for laughs. The overly confident dumbass, like, you know, Will Ferrell and Danny McBride are both, they've made careers out of doing that.
Right.
They're both great at it. And it's like Trump is like that, but in real life, like he really is that person. And people love that fucking thing. And also, I'm just saying, like, the universe clearly shines on this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It drives me insane. It don't hit for me. Don't anybody get me wrong. I wish it didn't. But like, there's just no denying it at this point, man. He is like, he's touched by something. Like he's just, everything just comes up Donnie. Like I said, he just can't not hit.
They dismissed his court case the next day.
Right. Which I don't think that's a coincidence, but
of course not.
Yeah.
She was setting, it was a 93-page opinion. She had that done for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it don't hit in a lot of ways, but can I tell you one thing that has been baffling to me is that and this is just total proof. Well, we say it all the time that like Twitter ain't the real world. The online ain't the real world, you know?
Yeah, I had my own personal lesson with that exact thing.
Yes, you did.
Week.
Yes, you did. Buddy, no one's talking about it one way or the other. And let me explain what I mean. So when he got shot, and I thought, well, maybe this is just it in the confines of the show I was doing. Then I was in the day after he got shot. I was in an Arkansas airport, and I intentionally didn't put my headphones in because I wanted to walk around and just listen. I just wanted to hear, you know, what the fuck was being said. So I had to go on stage, and so did Trae. I'm about an hour and a half out.
I think we all did.
Yeah, right. You're right. And we're an hour and a half out, and we're setting up, right? The building's setting up. We did a show for the National Social Workers of America. So that's the vibe in there, right? And we've also got a documentary crew with us. So at one point, you will be able to literally physically see all of our reactions. Well, all the comedians, we were like, at first we didn't know what to say. We were like, we gave it 5 minutes of like, it's a bit, it's AI, let's not, you know, whatever. And then we kept seeing it. We're like, no shit, this happened. Then it was like, did he get hit? Then we see the blood, and it's like, you know, did he do a blade job? You know what I mean? What the fuck is happening? And then it finally set in with all of us that like, no, this is true. The presidential candidate, he almost got assassinated. That actually happened. And as comedians, we were all like, okay, this is going to change the tenor of the show a little bit. Like it's going to have to, like it has to, because by the time everyone gets here, they're going to have seen the news. Like there's no like an hour and a half.
Bro, it happened 15 minutes before my show started, because my Saturday show started at 6:00. 15 minutes before, and as the show was starting, every person in the showroom was lit up by the light of their phone. Like everyone in there was on their phone.
Of course they were.
You know?
Of course they were. So we had this whole thing like before our shows. We were doing voter registration and all this. There was all these little like fucking little things that were happening. And it was like before the audience sat down, you know, they would talk to these people, and they do voter registration. And I made the call. I said, hey guys, let's not do that part. I said, let's just seat everybody and we'll do the show. And I said, because like, I feel like that's going to take a long time, because people are going to be in line being like, oh my God, did you see? Oh my God, did you, you know, blah, 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 blah. And the people that were running this place were like, wow, what has changed? Like, what do you mean? Why is it going to be different? And I was like, well, the ex-president was just shot. And one of them was like, oh, really? And this was like an hour later. She just hadn't checked her phone. And we've been running around frantically talking about it. And she was just like, just this look of malaise on her face. She was like, huh, well, no, I think we should just do whatever. Like unaffected at all. Unaffected, whatever. Well, then we go to do the show, and it's like, okay, there's 6 comedians on this show. We got to decide right now who's going to talk about it, because we can't all go up there and fucking try to do a type 5 on this, because we're going to be stepping on each other's toes. So the person that was going out first was my friend Nagin Farsad. And she was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go up and just mention that it happened, get it out of the way, deflate the room, and then we're just going to go on with the show, right? Well, she ends up not doing that at all, and then she was just like, you know what, fuck this shit, and she had a good set, and
and you mean like fuck this shit as then I'm gonna talk about it, or like I'm not even gonna mention it?
She didn't mention it at all. She didn't mention it at all, and so. And this is a room full of, mostly liberal people. A lot of, we're in Fayetteville, so a lot of well-read people, a lot of putting on airs people or whatever. And now I'm like, she's the host. I'm the first comedian or whatever. And so I'm like, she didn't do it. So like, is the onus on me? And I was like, this is going to suck because I can't, if I start talking about this, that's going to be my whole set. You know what I mean? Like I don't do quick little things. And so I get up there and I'm like, well, we'll see how the first joke goes. If everybody's like, kind of distracted or whatever. I just started talking about my Uber ride and how I rode with this dude named Bobby and how the game warden didn't hit for him. And it's fucking slaughtering. It's fucking murdering, right? They're fuck, I know Bobby, goddamn, And then next thing you know, I've just done my set. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't bring it up either. And then nobody did. And then after the show, nobody even talked about it. Like no fan even said a fucking word about it.
I ain't gonna lie. I mean, that's wild to me that not one of y'all talked about it. I'm not saying that. I mean that I don't like it's fine. I'm just like my show's about to start. There's a local host in Oklahoma. His name's Landry, and then Donnie's with me, the feature, sweet boy Donnie. And
wait, my Landry?
No.
Okay,
no. You think that Landry would be hosting at the Looney Bin in Tulsa?
Absolutely not. That's why I was confused.
No. This Landry hits though, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out.
But no offense to this Landry, but I was like, oh damn, really?
No. But Landry in Oklahoma like used to write for Conan and then moved back to Oklahoma and shit. But anyway, so he's good. He's funny. But the three of us immediately were all like, all right, what are we gonna? And they both of them were like, obviously, because I go up last because I'm a headliner. But they both were like deferring to me. They were like, we know these people want to hear you talk about this. We know you're going to talk about it, but we feel like we have to say something. So we were like all collaborating on what each person's like angle was going to be, and like Landry, the host, was like, I'm going to say one quick thing. I can't remember what it was, but he had like one joke. He's I'm going to say this and then try to just move on, which is what he did. Donnie had his angle on it, which didn't step on forever. And then I went up there and then, and I did my stuff. And again, and of course, Kilt and the club was the Looney Bin in Tulsa is fucking awesome. Sincerely, I've never been there before. It's a sweet room. So shout out to them. But they were taping every show. And this happens on Saturday. We get done with the night. And I'm like, hey, I definitely want that. And he was like, right. So about that, the camera went down.
Yep.
Apparently tonight, and we didn't get any of that. And I was like, you serious, bro? He was like,
that's such a bummer.
Yeah. So anyway, but
anyways, aside from the show, I go to the airport, assuming I'm in an Arkansas airport, it's going to be brought up. I'm walking past bars where Fox News is playing and everyone's talking about how they just started watching Receivers on Netflix. No one's fucking talking about it. Then I get on the motherfucking plane filled with old white dudes in fishing shirts, and I'm like, surely goodness and fucking mercy, I'm about to hear some, can you believe this shit? No one. I didn't hear a goddamn word all day from liberal nor conservative. And I'm like, is this where we are in the world that this shit could happen? And everybody's just like, another day, another dollar. What the fuck?
I do think that's part of it. I think that people are so fucking overwhelmed with crazy shit incessantly all the goddamn time that it's like some things just don't penetrate the way they used to. But I also think though, I know how I felt. Like the dude comes in, he's like, so Trump just got shot, and our initial reaction, like I was like, okay, ha ha.
Did he though?
I was like, you're fucking with us. Obviously, you about to show us a big black dick or Rick Rollins or something. He was like, no. Trump got shot. And he said like, and we're all like, what do you mean he got by how he got shot? Yeah, right. Like, and then everybody pulls out their phone and we like get on Twitter and start looking for stuff. And for me, you see the video, and the moment you see the video, immediately you're like, okay, he's totally fine. Like he's completely, totally. And I feel like that had a big part in, obviously it's still a huge story and everything. Don't get me wrong, but
if he'd have truly got clipped,
if he'd have got even if he later survived it, if he got like fucking plugged and fell out, and I think it would have been a different story from what you're talking about. But because it was so immediately evident that he barely got grazed at all and he's clearly totally fine, I feel like that changed the tenor of the
still did get shot though.
I know. I mean, yeah, it is crazy. I'm just saying, I think that's part of it. Cause like I opened up Twitter being like, fucking Trump got shot. What is this? But what the fuck? And then you see it, and again, you're like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I mean, so he's all right.
Yeah, because that was my first thought too. When they said Trump got shot, I was like, Lincoln or Reagan?
Right.
Which
and it wasn't even really Reagan.
Wasn't even really. No, it was way in between. Like it was fucking Holyfield, if anything. Yeah. Like it was. So
Reagan, am I right?
Yeah,
Drew.
People were talking around Knoxville. I'll say that. And I know I just did a podcast with DJ. Everyone should listen to Gravy Baby this week if you want to hear DJ Lewis absolutely go in on what the truth behind the truth is.
I do. I'm going to listen to that as soon as we record.
He was at work in the meat department, and they were apparently absolutely fired up, ready to avenge the king. At my show, so I had a private gig that started at 9 for like a private party. I jumped on a don't tell, and it's funny. I hit record on my phone, Trae, and I didn't apparently. Yeah. Like I walked on stage and I set it on the stool and was just going to do like the up the nose shot because I was like, let me put this out as soon as possible.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I had a full documentary crew and just didn't address it. So
yeah, that is funny. That's very funny that you mentioned. But yeah, I almost did that, Drew, but because I was like, this will be way faster. But I was like, nah, the other thing will look way better. It'll be better quality. And then I definitely should have done.
Well, then like the woman who went before me was from Austin, and she did not talk about it, and it was pretty clear the 10 she's been working on. She was very funny, and it was like. And unless I don't know how to read comics anymore, this was a very good 6 to 7 year vet who was doing the tight, like, you know what I mean?
This
like
is my shit. This is my Fallon.
Yeah. So I thought she might have been taping. So I hit her up, and she had been, but like somebody turned it off for her.
Mm-hmm.
I did about 2 minutes up top. Well, let me say this about the general vibe. Most comics mentioned it.
Yeah.
Most comics felt they need to. Like, there were comics there even who had jokes about politics, and Trump were like, I can't do this joke about Joe Biden and the election we're in if I don't talk, at least acknowledge it.
Of course.
Mine was on, and I only had like 3 punchlines, but I was still killing because people were on board with me, and maybe this explains your experience, Corey. My whole thing was like, my honest response, y'all, is that the next 3 weeks, the worst people in the world are going to be screaming into their phones and typing 97 paragraph long Facebook posts, and we're never going to catch a break. We are in political Groundhog Day.
Right.
Mitch McConnell saw the shadow of his gullet on Nancy Pelosi's titties.
Neck gooch.
And now we have 6 more years of 2016 over and over again. And I just talked about how like we're going to have Uncle Darren doing trigonometry when he can't read.
Right.
And then I said, and I've got my liberal friends texting me, this was all staged. And I'm like, you don't believe in conspiracy theories. This ain't you. Don't do it now. I've been trying to get you to do it for years. And I felt like everyone was almost relief laughing that I was going, don't this suck for us that we have to go through the 24-hour news cycle and the social media cycle of the worst people alive, both on the news and on social media, and I'm one of them, just like milking this for the next 3 weeks.
And these people getting to be a victim and have like something they can point to that's like, oh, fuck it, you know.
And they loved that angle, and maybe that explains what you were seeing, Corey, of like, I think people, even people who are like Matt, people who like Donald Trump are like, just tired, dude. They're tired of discourse.
And for the record, like, I've never been happier in my life that happened, that nobody was talking about it. Like, I was ecstatic because, like, That's literally the first thing I thought of when he got shot. I was like, I have to be at an airport in Arkansas tomorrow. You know. By the way, real quick, and we can move on.
Just got back from Disneyland. Ain't brought it up once.
Dude, my mom picked me up from the airport. Didn't say a word. I've talked to my dad. Didn't say a fucking word. Now, granted, like maybe everybody just knows like this one's a little too fucking like.
Right.
We can't play
They don't
around
wanna
with
hear
this.
what I really think.
Yeah, we can't play around with this. And I just found I knew Nancy Pelosi was old. I did not know that she was 87. But bruh, them titties is 38. Like that is wild.
That's why that guy was mad at her with a hammer, which, you know, I didn't bring her up on accident. I didn't say this in the joke, but I kind of wanted to work that in there of like, and if anybody is going to like play the woe is me victim, remember how they didn't give a shit when that dude tried to murk her husband with a hammer?
Yeah, nobody gave a fuck. They was happy.
I brought that up in the video I made about it, about how it wasn't just that one, you know, him and then like Gretchen, that whole Gretchen Whitmer plot, and obviously January 6th and stuff, and they don't, you know, they're just.
Oh yeah,
they flex all. They make bumper stickers out of that shit or whatever.
Now
but yeah, then this, I like, for example, you know, Tenacious D, right, who hit super hard. Love Jack Black. Kyle Gass.
I'm glad we're talking about this.
Kyle Gass, the other member of Tenacious D, who also rules KG. It was his birthday on stage, I guess not Sunday night, maybe. I don't think it was night of. It was either the night of or like the next night. They had a concert and it was KG's birthday, so. Jack Black brings a birthday cake out to him and he says, "Make a wish, brother." And he goes, "Don't miss next time," or "Don't miss Trump next time." Right. And that's like, it's clearly an offhand thing. There's no way they planned that.
Of course
just
not.
A little birthday thing. It comes to his mind. He spits it out. He gets a little this, that, or whatever. And then now today, Jack Black announced that they're canceling the entire rest of their tour as a direct result of that. And it's like, what?
People are still coming to see y'all. You shouldn't do that.
Absolutely. It's like, are they really getting that much pushback from? Because I think of Tenacious D fans, and I don't feel like they're. I'm sure there's some MAGA people who love Tenacious D.
Not enough to cancel a tour.
Not enough to cancel a tour. Right. Exactly.
You think he was worried about someone?
Dude, they've already been. Dude,
well, he's been getting hell lately anyway because he
endorsed Biden.
Because he endorsed Biden and did that whole little speech, and they got mad about that, and then this happened right after that, and maybe he just.
Maybe it is the fear.
He is rich as fuck. Maybe he just wants to Maybe he just wants to like lock himself up in his house and play video games for a few weeks because fuck all these people, and that's different.
They could have been like on the verge of neither wanting to tour anyways, and they were like, let's just say it was this.
So I've been spending all morning thinking about this genuinely, because you couple this with like what we're hearing from a lot of Democratic leaders, which is like, we don't condone violence. It's like, you motherfuckers is condoning it in Gaza right now. But that aside, they're like, violence is never the answer. And it's like, all right, but y'all been warning us that this guy's a threat to the very soul of our democracy for now 8 years. And to me, if you mean that, you got to be at least medium okay. Like an actual threat to the soul of our very fabric of our country. That feels like we're at the very least allowed to like be like,
well, no shit.
I think as far as that goes, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, I'm trying to like, I spent all morning thinking about that, and then Jack Black does this, and I'm going, okay, let me put a positive spin on this. Maybe it's a good thing that there are people in this country not openly pining for murder, even if I think that it makes them either weak or a hypocrite or whatever, because Donald Trump's been pining for this type of thing for a while. He totally deserves it, in my opinion. But like, maybe it's a good thing that people are still trying to hang on to decency.
Yeah, I agree.
I think because I feel like it's come up over the years, and when the idea has come up before, I feel like in podcasts and whatever else, conversations about like, goddamn, wish this motherfucker was dead, right? And it's like, well,
of cancer.
I don't know exactly. That's what I was about to say. I think that anybody could say like, goddamn, I wish he wasn't around no more, but not like that.
Dude,
if that happens,
it's not
the fallout of that ultimately is
way worse.
I agree with Corey, but
way worse than what?
If he got like,
because I understand there would have been violent retaliation if he had died, but like, what about the long
if it
term?
was provably,
they'd have got another one.
If it was provably an accident or a disease or something like that, and he died, buddy, popping bottles, dog.
Absolutely.
Rules. Making all kinds of jokes about how hard that hits, but I don't think the outcome of him being successfully assassinated would hit for this country
at all. A lot of people
so
would
I'm
die.
genuinely glad that did not work out, because I think it would go real, real bad if it did. So
I understand the argument. A lot of people would die. I'll buy that, and I'll sit with you guys in it. And you're right, and it's wrong to openly pine for the murder of people, I guess. But I don't know if I buy that it would be worse for the country long term. I know that it would deify him, but they don't have another one. If they did, because they've been looking for one for a long time. The other thing that would happen is,
well, at least we don't either.
They would destroy each other. Now, I do think they might win the White House because of what Corey just pointed out still. But, like, they would destroy each other trying to get that spot. There's no one like him.
No, there is no one like him. But, like, that's another, like, dude, I'm with Trae on this, in the sense of, like, if he just magically got super AIDS and died of it, but, like, if he truly got assassinated, like, I don't know when we recover from that. Like, no, dude, no, absolutely not.
There's no fixing the pining for fascism that's going on in our country right now overnight. We were too broken. Our systems are too corrupt. People want strong leadership because they know that everything's bullshit. But in terms of getting over it, like in terms of people being mad and wanting blood because Trump's dead, a month.
I'm just saying there's militias ready to form right this second anyways.
But they existed before he did.
I know, but
like, I'm acknowledging the violence. I'm saying you guys are right about that. Like the violent reaction, but I think it'd be quick, and I think long term, I do think we would be better off if he died, regardless of how he died. I do think that.
Well, yeah, but
I'm not
how long term though?
I don't want the violence.
How long term though?
The next 4 years.
Okay. I just like, dude, obviously, guys, listen, best fucking case scenario ever is that at the next presidential debate, they both have the exact same stroke at the same time. And then what? It's JD versus Kamala, and he wipes the fucking floor with her.
That I ain't saying that like wouldn't hit, I guess, but dude, as far as the idea that we live in a simulation or something, if that literally happened,
I gotta go. I gotta go to space.
I think I might actually lose my mind if
because it would be on purpose.
Yeah, right.
But the BlackRock people put something in their drink, you know.
Yeah,
I would take care of mine, and then if that happened, I would take care of mine. Like I would make peace with everyone in my family, right, left, whatever. I'd be like, guys, clearly aliens are controlling this. And I'd build a bunker, and then I'd just party at the end of the world.
I'll tell you what.
Party at the end of the world,
hey,
dog.
I'm with you, bro, because me and you, Drew, we live in, you've done a joke about it on stage. We live in the best spot for a huge fallout like that. You know what I mean? Like, if that were to happen, like, me and you could get set up pretty fucking quick. To where it's just like, you know what? Nobody in, nobody out. You know, everybody around here, as long as I didn't wear my support queers in wrestling shirt, would just assume I fall in with them, you know? And we just like, hell, dude, between me and my in-laws and stuff, we got 4 gardens going right fucking now. All we got to do is start digging, you know? And my fucking father is a goddamn contractor. Like, we'll have a bunker. Dude, I'll have you a bunker by 3. You know what I mean?
I bet my dad already has one.
Yeah. Richard Simmons died too.
Oh, yeah, that's why. Oh, also, and another,
and Shannon Doherty don't hit.
Yeah, and Dr. Ruth and Jacoby Jones,
dude,
Baltimore
Dr.
Ravens legend.
Dude,
Jacoby
good.
Jones died.
Dr. Ruth is due. All right, God damn it. That bitch grossed me out when I was a kid so much.
I thought you just meant because she had to be pushing a fucking
she was like 90-something, 7 years old, but I've been wishing for her to die for years.
Well, I'm gonna give you some pushback. Fuck that. Dr. Ruth ruled, dude.
She did rule as far as what she did, but like when I was a certain age, hearing her being like, you put the beads in the butthole and you know, it didn't hit. I was like, get younger.
I don't have a problem with Dr. Ruth. I just mean that whenever somebody who's 97 dies, there's nothing even
gross, dude. She didn't look good enough.
To a penguin, dude.
I know that don't hit.
That does hit.
She traumatized young me. I'm glad she's fucking dead. At 97,
a big titty blonde who made out with you when she was 17 and you were in 5th grade traumatized young you.
Yeah, and she's not doing well.
The the church traumatized you, and you're blaming Dr. Ruth.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I liked Foreigners when I was in middle school. I think that might have been why. Yeah, get American, bitch. Then you can talk about the vulva.
Traumatized you, and you blamed the doctor.
Yeah.
Can I read a quote that I liked from this week?
Yeah. Is it about Richard Simmons?
No, it's about JD Vance. This is a quote from Trae Crowder. I understand that my people, talking about hillbillies, do not suffer due to some inborn cultural affliction, but due instead to the capricious malice of the masters he serves. God.
Yeah, I was really up my butt with that one, dog.
You were. Had to smell. I was wondering.
Had a couple drinks last night.
Stank!
To circle back, and this isn't a blank. I'm saying none of us could see the future. If you had said that to him on Sirius,
he didn't know capricious at the time.
We'd have sold $1 billion, dog.
Yeah. Maybe we'll sell more now.
I doubt it.
Someone sent me a picture of one for sale for 79 cents.
hey, hold up, though. I stay checking at McKay's. And it is still $15 at McKay's, which is half off, which is insane for McKay's. And by the way, one day I was like, you know what? I bet you this is just the same one and nobody's bought it. So the last time, 2 times ago when I was at McKay's, I took a marker and I autographed that fucking book. Next time I went, different book, still going for $15. That is half off, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's good for a fucking 8-year-old book. You can still get it, by the way, wherever you get your books. The Liberal Redneck Manifesto, also on Audible, and we read it. And I would say, if you're out there and you're like, I'm gonna buy JD Vance's book just to see what's for, I bet you it comes up in the recommendations. If you like people that are dumb saying smart stuff, you'll also like this. It's a fantastic book. It tells the goddamn truth. And I don't know if in it we say fuck check cashing places, but it's the subtext. Fuck them. They don't hit.
They're brought up.
Yeah, they don't hit. I don't know what it is. Just my time. I had been thinking lately I hadn't been sick in a while. I'm pretty sure that I think I'm about to be sick.
I slept for 3 hours this morning for no reason.
Yeah.
I haven't been partying. I've been sleeping. I'm sick. It's going around, brother.
I'm about to be sick because I just got back from the road and it's a rule of law. You want to see something scary real quick before we go?
No, I'm going to go. I don't want to see anything scary.
All right. Plug your shit.
You can show them. I don't have any shit to plug. I'm off the road till August.
Yep.
Send me money.
Send your money. I too think I'm retiring from comedy. I don't want to do it anymore. I was just be home. Just be home and do podcasts with Trae, which we've got Puttin on Airs, which comes out every Friday. You can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts, or you can go to watchpoa.com. Oh, I was wondering what was going on. My son is up here. Hey, buddy. Watchpoa.com. It's a lot of fun. You can catch me on the dollop this week on the pastimes. And go to bonuscorey.com. That's me extra stuff. Trae, where you going to be?
Former guest on WellRED, Allie Clayton, is going to be with me on a big long run through Connecticut and New York, upstate and the city both, and the suburbs all over the place. It's like a 6-day, 5-city job. So y'all come see us. Go to TraeCrowder.com. And then after that, I'm going elsewhere, all over. Dallas is coming up soon. Might be taping something that weekend, Dallas people, so I need you to come out. And, yeah, just make a hit.
Go watch Trae get buried by Allie Clayton. And like I said, bonuscorey.com. And for Trae's, go to patreon.com/Trae Crowder. And also, thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night. We're screwed.